Hi, my name is Nicole Scarborough, and welcome to lesson 0.0 of Basics with Nicole. Um, so there's a couple of things you need to know as you start this guitar lesson series. 0.0 is if you have never played guitar, never touched the guitar. This is like your first time picking it up and figuring it out. If this is not your first time playing guitar and you're here for beginner lessons, but have already kind of figured out some stuff, we'll probably start on lesson 1.0 or 2.0. But today, the goal of this lesson is if you have never really used this thing, never tuned it, never played it, and you are starting from ground zero, which is why we call it lesson 0.0. Something else you need to know is the format. This is a virtual lesson, but I offer live coaching after you've watched each lesson. And then um, the other thing you need to know is that you'll see me going back and forth between the lesson slides, the screen, and then I will show you things on the guitar. Okay, so thank you for joining and let's get started. Okay, so welcome to lesson 0.0. Like I said, my name is Nicole Scarborough. I have played guitar 20 years since I was 10 years old. I live in Colorado now, and I really love God. The lessons I teach are Bible-based lessons, and on top of playing guitar, I love to bake, I love to work out, I play with my dog outside, and I love being outside doing fun stuff like this picture, hiking. So, my goal for you out of this lesson series is that you obviously will learn to play your guitar, but you'll learn to read and play chords, tabs, strum patterns, and how to fingerpick. Plus, my key outcome for you is to prepare to minister to God and others with your guitar. Music is really powerful. So this guitar that you're learning to play, it is both a weapon and a tool, a spiritual weapon. And the goal is to please God's heart and minister to his heart as you're ministering to him and following his leading on how to minister to others with your new music skills. So, what does it mean that guitar is a spiritual weapon? Well, when you're playing music and worshiping God with your voice and your words and music, you're literally bringing your soul, spirit, and body in front of God. You're doing the same for other people. You're setting spiritual atmospheres, which we'll talk about in one of our lessons, and you broadcast truth. You should hopefully be playing worship songs that are biblically, scripturally true, and you're broadcasting that truth into the world in a powerful and memorable way. It's also a very practical tool, which is why I love it so much. In high school, in college, it was super, super helpful for me to process emotions with music, playing and writing songs. And so it helps soothe your own emotions and others. It can attract people to you who just love music and don't have this skill, but you do. And it serves the body of Christ with music as you learn in excellence, and you get to create something beautiful and relatable. People love music and stories within songs for a reason. So, this skill will let you share that with others. Okay, so I do want you to pause. Uh, this is foundational lesson, and we already have a little reflection. I want you to think right now, how did you think about your guitar before? Hearing that your guitar is a spiritual weapon might be new. So, what does that mean for you? And as you learn the skill of guitar and have this tool, this musical tool, how do you want to leverage it in your life? What other ways could you use guitar as a tool? The first time we meet, I will ask you these questions and you will share what you are thinking. Because I have ideas. Every time I read this, I think of new answers. Okay, so let's jump into it. The things you really want to know. Foundationally, you need to know how to read a chord chart. So, what you see on screen is a chord chart. It's a chord chart for E minor 7. That's the name of the chord. Chord charts are made up of a lot of lines and the dots you see. But more than just lines, this chord chart is going to tell you what strings you're putting your fingers on. So, what I want you to see is each line represents a string. The going up and down, the vertical lines, are the strings of your guitar. You have 6 strings on your guitar. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines here. And each string is a note. So, I'm going to pause and show you my guitar. That way you can see what this looks like. As you see here, I have 6 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The chord chart you saw has E twice. This is low E. It's the string closest to you if you're playing right-handed like me. This is my right hand. I'm going to strum with my right hand. This is the low E. And then you have high E. They are both E. Now, like you saw on the screen, I'm going to pull it up again. Nope. Like you see on the screen, we have the 6 strings. And so this is low E, the string closest to you is on the furthest left. And then the high E that I played is the string that is furthest from you. The high E sound, it is the first string. So we call this first string high E. Sixth string is low E. And then you have fifth string, which is A. You have D, which is fourth string, G, which is third string, and B, which is the second string. So low E, again, if you hold your guitar like you are playing right-handed, you're strumming with your right hand, low E will be the string closest to you. Next, you need to know that there are frets. They start at the top of the guitar neck. On the chord chart, this mirrors and looks like a bunch of boxes. You have a row of boxes. This is made by what I will share. Those frets, the boxes, are made by these bars. So this is the row of that first boxes, the first row of boxes on that chord chart are all these. This is all on the first fret. Then the second bar to the first bar, this is all the second fret. Then you have third fret, and third fret has a dot, fourth fret, fifth fret has a dot. So as you learn to play, you can quickly reference third, fifth, seventh. But for a while, we'll be mostly playing in first and second fret. And that's just this space or this space. It's the space between the 2 metal bars, or this first metal bar and the very top. And so that you know, this is called the neck of the guitar. This is the guitar neck. Okay. So let's keep going. Finally, what you'll want to know is what the dots represent on your chord chart. And so these open dots mean open strings, and the closed dot, wherever you see a filled in or closed dot, that means you are holding down that string in that fret. So think about this. We just learned that these are the 6 strings. These boxes, rows, represent the frets. So where am I going to hold down what string? Go ahead and give it a try, and then we'll talk about it. For the chord E minor 7, this is showing me that I'm holding down the 5th string, which is A, and I'm holding it down in the 2nd fret. It's pretty simple because it's only one string. You only use one finger. So this is the 5th string, and it's in the 2nd fret. I hold it down, and with me, you can give it a strum. That's E minor 7. It's probably the easiest chord you'll learn how to play, and you just read a chord chart and learned how to play it. So congrats to you. You're already playing chords. You should be proud. Okay, so, yep, you're going to use this chord again in our first lesson if you're starting, right here today. And you just did this with me. We hold down that string as hard as we can, and we strum down all the strings, and you make E minor 7. Again, if this is open, that means I'm not holding down these strings. I don't have to do anything with them. They are just 0 fret open strings. And that dot, again, is where you put a finger. So, if you have a guitar with metal strings, your finger might hurt a little. It might have pinched to hold that down. And if it sounded tinny or dull, that might mean you're not holding that string down hard enough, especially because that 5th string is a thicker string. So it might hurt a little. It might be hard to do at first, and that's okay. We're going to keep practicing. Now let's do it again. Before I show you on my guitar, I want you to try reading this chord chart. And I already gave you a clue. This is the 2nd fret. Okay, and if you're reading the screen, you'll know where to put your fingers. But what I want to note is that on the internet, you'll probably find chord charts that have numbers in them. That is a suggestion. You do not have to play it the way that those numbers are saying. And let me explain. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. Those numbers represent your fingers. So 1 is your pointer finger. 2 is your middle finger. 3 is your ring finger. So that chord chart was suggesting where I put my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finger. Now, I want to tell you that as long as you're holding those strings in the right fret, it doesn't matter which finger you use. People will use different fingers for different reasons because sometimes it's easier to change to another chord if you have your fingers arranged a certain way. And I will show you. The way that they were suggesting was that I put my 1st finger on the 4th string, my 3rd finger on the 3rd string, and my ring finger on the 2nd string. That makes the A chord. However, another way I could play it, and you might laugh at me, is I could put my 1st finger on the 4th string, my middle finger on the 2nd string, and my ring finger on the 3rd string. I'm still playing the same 3 strings in the 2nd fret. It will sound the same. But why I would do this is because there's another chord in the future that you'll learn where I might want to quickly move my ring finger over here and make this chord. And then it's easy for me to change. So for now, go ahead and follow number suggestions, but know that as long as you're holding down the strings on the right fret, you are making the chord that you need to make. So go ahead and try it like this with your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers holding down the strings. Give it a strum with me, and we have A. Cool, good job. Now you're probably seeing something new. What is this X? Generally, that means you're going to try to avoid strumming that string, but that takes practice. If you can't avoid it, that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's just what that X means. It means you're trying not to play it. So you would try to strum only from the 5th string down. But if you play all of them, that's also okay. All right, we're almost to the end of our foundational 0.0 lesson. The other thing you're going to learn today is how to read tabs. What you're looking at, again, is a bunch of lines. This tab chart is going to tell you which string you're plucking, which string you're going to put your finger on, and then the number will tell you which fret you're putting your finger down on. So, another thing to know before we dive in, these strings, if you look face down at your guitar right now, join me, just hold your guitar, look down. That tab chart looks exactly the way your strings look. The one closest to you is low E. The one furthest from you is high E. Let's look at that tab chart again. Cool. All right. Now you are seeing these lines the way the strings on your guitar look. So this tab chart is telling us, because it put numbers on D, the fourth string, we're going to be strumming this fourth string. It also put a number on the fifth string. So I'm going to pluck or strum that fifth string. Now what does that number mean? It says 0. That means 0 fret. That means I'm not holding this string down. A 0 fret. I don't have to put my finger anywhere. That's pretty cool. So join me. We're going to pluck the fourth string, which is D, and the fifth string. The one problem with tabs is it doesn't totally tell you the rhythm. In a more advanced way, it will, kind of, but the rhythms are a little hard to get out of tabs. So just listen, and I know you're going to recognize this. Do you recognize that? That is Ice Ice Baby, or Under Pressure. So we'll use tabs into all our lessons to learn riffs, intros, bridges, and the cool melodies that people are playing up and down the neck of the guitar. The last piece of this lesson is to tune your guitar, and I'll take you to the next video for that. So thank you for joining me. And that was your foundational lesson. Now you're ready to move on to 1.0.